Hey everyone. I had a lot of positive feedback already on the live trade where I enter, manage, and exit a trade. So I thought I'd, start up another one. I have no idea how long this one's gonna last, but I just shorted the dollar CAD. So the reason being, you can see we're coming back up into this supply zone here that we've peeked our head in a couple times. Last week on Friday, I shorted this up about 1.2881-ish, but took some profit, about 50 pips worth of profit on that on Friday on this, bearish candle. And we've since kind of pushed back up above that and a little bit deeper into this resistance level or supply zone. It lines up nicely with some resistance. And depending on how you draw this fib, up into, the 61.8, currently at break even on this position, or, essentially price is at my entry. Let's see here. I entered about, well, with the first spikes up into this level, I entered. Took a little bit of drawdown. This could be a break retest. My stop loss is up here, so I'm not giving this sucker much room. I don't want to be stuck in this thing if this is turning bullish. Uh, there's enough confluence up, in this area, that I don't need a huge stop loss. If we're going to get the reaction that I'm looking for, it's going to happen relatively soon. So I don't need, I don't need a whole ton of room, is what I'm saying, for that, because essentially my my entry, my confluence is a narrow little section, essentially. Let me delete this supply zone here. Essentially I was looking, within this little box, which is where price is sitting currently. So if price breaks this box, my trade or my confluence zone is essentially kind of invalidated, right? Yeah, price may, want to, push up a little bit more into, maybe this supply zone, if you want to draw this as your most recent supply zone. But even if it does, as long as it doesn't reach for the very top of this, I should still be okay. I have about, excuse me, let's see where my entry was right as price was kind of spiking up here, 29.02. Like I said, right, basically where price is currently. I think this edit, yeah, 29.02, 29.024, which is essentially that, yeah, essentially where price is now, plus or minus a few pips. So, I don't need a huge stop loss, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to let this thing go against me a ton. Let me change this to maybe blue for my entry. So that's where I entered. Currently in a little bit of drawdown, but not too much. But if price is going to break and retest this thing, I want to get out relatively quickly, and with my confluence here, that's pretty soon. I got about 37 pips that the market can wiggle, within before, deciding. Key levels, round numbers, 2,900, you know, 1.3, 1.29, 1.28, that type of thing. Those are kind of magnet levels, and you can always see like a lot of action around those. And so that's another thing of confluence here. Lower time frame, we have kind of a little ABCD pattern, if you want to call it that, completing right up around there. We have the 161.8 of this little move here, which is typically kind of like the ABCD completion point, which you can see price is tapping. So it's at least identifying that from other people who use those inverse fibs and or whatever. So that's my confluence. That this is the trade idea. The reason why I'm entering is because of this confluence here. From not just this smaller time frame, but the larger time frame as well. And the higher time frame structure is attractive for me to want to short right around here. And if this is some kind of fake out, then this is a great place where people are entering the market to go long, and it's a great place to collect a lot of orders to reverse and go and stop them out. I'm kind of a contrarian trader, meaning I look for places where a lot of retail traders are probably trying to jump on some momentum, and that's where I like to take the opposite side of the trade, because most retail traders are wrong, right? I'm wrong too, but if I can capitalize on other people being wrong, or the majority of traders, retail traders, being wrong, then that's great. That works for me. So not just kind of consolidating right around that 2900, not getting a whole lot of movement either way, which can be good, it could, or bad, depending on which way this thing's going to break. It could just be sucking up orders, like I said. There's a lot of probably buy stop orders up around just above this 2700. Probably a lot of stop losses just above these highs. Yeah, we'll just take it from here, up 2 pips. So we'll pause it and come back. Okay, everyone, so I'm back here. It's still, I don't know if it's still the same hour, if it's into the second hour, can't really remember, but must be the second hour. So we have dropped about, in between 15 and 20 pips, depending on, where price is currently sitting at from my entry. I went back and looked in my activity, and I entered at 10:13, so I wanted to kind of show you guys. I don't even have a 1-minute chart on here. Just where I entered. Like I said, let's see here. No, let's scroll down to, daily. I guess they don't even have a 1-minute chart. I know, they gotta have a 1-minute chart. People, okay, there we go. People use that, I know. What are we at here? 10:13. So I entered right as kind of price was spiking up into these levels. So this was my entry candle. So once I entered, 2 minutes of drawdown, and then went into profit, and then just kind of slowly trickled before breaking down. But this is the last area. I mean, this is a 1-minute chart, so this is the last area that price had any kind of bearish presence. So it's not, not surprising that we're catching a little bit of support there. Let me get off this 1-minute chart, because that's ridiculous. But so 15-minute, we tagged our previous level there, pretty much right about that 80 level. catching a little bit of support off of it. So we'll see. You know, I'm not going to move my stop quite yet, so we'll just have to play it by ear. If you remember, I think I risked about 30 pips or so, between 35 and 40 pips, 38 maybe, somewhere around there. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it sit tight. You know, this may just be the pop that we're gonna get. Retesting, you know, old resistance may become new support for the next push up to stop me out. So we'll see. Not ready to move my stop quite yet, so I'm gonna pause it and come back. I gotta run a few errands, so I'll come back in, you know, an hour or two and see where the market's going from there. Okay, so that's that. Another trade planned, executed, and I just took some profit at the retest of this trend line here. I'm at break even now on the other half of my position, so it was right about that. Let's see, right about 50 pips again on UCAD today. So I risked 38 initially, was my stop loss. Right about 38, snagged 50 pips. So I don't know, like 1.5, little over 1 to 1, 1.5, whatever you want to call it. Let me delete that there. So as of right now, I'm break even on my second part of the position. We'll see if this is a break, retest, and continuation move up, or if we'll fill down to this, you know, if this is some kind of channel or range structure. You know, who's to know? I don't. I just, you know, I find that confluence, like I said before, this was the area that I was looking to short. You know, right in here. Let me delete this other. Oh, I already had a box there. This was the area that I was looking to short. My entry, just, you know, with the volatility in the moment, you know, I just kind of got filled there. Took a little bit of drawdown, but remember my stop was up at 29.40, 38 pips. So that's what I do. That's how I trade. And I'm going to go ahead and just end this here. You know, I took profit here. I entered here, took partial profits here for about 50 pips worth. I'm still up 48 pips on the second half of my position. So I'm just going to let this ride at break even and see if, you know, we can't get any more or break this structure and then move down. You know, remember, we are coming off some higher time frame levels, so you know, this is a pretty kind of volatile day here. Let me delete some of these. You know, this is a hot place, I believe. So you know, we'll see. I think it's going to make a pretty explosive move one way or another, depending on which way it decides. But just based off of history and price already trying to break once before, you know, my money's to the downside. But, you know, I've already entered and exited partial profits. So as of right now, I'm just going to sit on my hands and let the market wiggle and play out and go from there. So take care. Let me know. Like, subscribe, and we'll talk with you later.